Hi all, and welcome back to my very new channel. This is only my second video, and really it's my first video actually showing you my journal. So late last year my family and I went, like everybody else, to Japan, and we spent some time there, 3 weeks together, and I've very slowly been filling in my travel journal. It's taken me quite a while. I tend to get really into things and become quite hyper focused on them, and then the dopamine starts to wear off and I kind of let it go. And that's what I've done here. Thank you, ADHD, I guess. So I thought if we went through it together, it would give me the motivation to finish it, because I'm actually only maybe 10 days into the trip. So like a lot of people, I chose to use a Tokyo cover traveler's notebook, and I popped my Japan charm on it, and I actually picked this up in Tokyo Station. When I went to Japan, I did visit a few travelers company stores. However, the one I didn't visit was Nakameguro, because we had so much going on and it just felt like a very long way to go. However, I am going back to Japan later this year for a solo trip, and it's definitely on my list to go to the Nakameguro store and visit Starbucks Reserve this time, because I missed both of those last time. But with further ado, this is my very simple traveller's journal. Of course, I use the Have a Nice Trip in Tokyo. I love this, and I've slowly started feeling out my favourite things here, but I haven't done much. With this page, I am waiting to see what I've got left as ephemera wise, and I will decorate it with that. The way I journal can be kind of, I guess, messy. I prefer to use photos and stickers and so on, and I don't actually write too much just because I'm always lost for words, and I guess that's why journaling does help me in a couple of different ways. So let's get to the first page. I'm pretty sure I haven't covered things that I should have, so I'm just going to cover my name, and I'll open this for you. So first page, very simple, just my tickets, and that was the first picture I took in Japan, and that was just coming into Narita Airport, and that looks like the Sumida River, but I'm not quite sure if it was exactly. They have many big rivers in Japan. We went for a total of 3 weeks, and we had a wonderful time, even though it was hectic, because it was myself, my partner, our 3 children, and my mum and dad. So it was a lot. We flew via Singapore, with Singapore, and it was a pretty good flight, really enjoyable. As you can see, I don't really write a lot straight away. I'll actually finish all of this and then I'll write little bits and bobs, but I don't really like to write full rundowns, because I kind of feel like I'm faffing on sometimes, and it's not necessary. But this was our first night in Tokyo. We literally just landed, and the first thing we did was go to the supermarket, and I kept the receipt because I was shocked at the price. I bought all this for only $73, and most of it was just delicious. Like, everything was so cheap compared to the grocery prices in Melbourne. I was shook. I've kept a little train ticket, and I was excited to see my first vending machine. And there you can see there's my parents walking towards the supermarket, which is quite close to our accommodation. Our first real day in Tokyo, we visited Sensoji Temple, and I like to use postcards just as like little flaps, almost like a lift the flap book, where I can pop my photos in, and I feel like it adds a little bit of depth, and it's a good way of not using too much of your notebook, but actually, just being able to have a bit more room and get more use out of it. I do wish I had sent these to myself, but at the time I just didn't even think about it. I was so tired and I was so jet lagged that day. Even though there's only a 1 hour time difference from Australia, it was a lot. It felt like a lot. And we were staying very close to Skytree, so I was I went there quite often because it was nice to just go visit at night, or if you just wanted something quick to eat and you didn't want to stop into 7-Eleven or another kombini, you could just we just walked up to Skytree because they had quite a good food court with a lot of delicious food. So I was excited to try omurice and Hoshina coffee, and that's my little family there. Day 2 we visited Hogwarts. Again, I'm slowly making my way through this. Hogwarts, the Warner Brothers Studio Tour was amazing. We loved it. And we went during Halloween. So whenever you said Happy Halloween, you got stickers. And that's my son with trying on Ravenclaw diadem, which I thought was cute. Now this was a spare Suica card we had, and I didn't know what to do with it, so I just stuck it in here. And I'm kind of glad I did, because I know at the end of next year the penguin will be retired. So I'm glad I've got this, and I'm interested to see who the mascot will be from 2027 onwards. I'm sad to say goodbye to the penguin, but I'll have to go back to Japan just to get an updated card, so that'll be a reason for a third trip. We visited Tamiya because my partner is obsessed with models, and again in Tamiya they give you stickers. And this is just for some random photos that I took with my parents. I ate that every morning for breakfast without fail. The confusing train lines, which weren't so confusing after a couple of days. These are some of the good fortunes I collected. Believe me when I say I did leave a few behind, and after a while I felt redundant getting fortunes at every temple, but I just like having them in here, and I will eventually just write all about it and where these were from exactly, because I do remember. We visited Disney during Halloween, which was a wonderful trip, and I do love the Halloween themed things that we were able to get there. And then I did save some ephemera from there, and believe me, I've got so much ephemera. I really love these churros. They were cinnamon and they were delicious. And I love this because it just shows you all the rides at Tokyo Disney. I thought it was really adorable. And I've got one for Disney Sea too, but I haven't gotten that far yet. So again, I've left myself little places just to write little notes about what we did and the rides we went on. We went on a day trip to Mount Fuji, and that was wonderful. I didn't realise how high you had to walk, how far you had to see this pagoda. It was a shock to the senses, but it was definitely worth it. But I remember I was almost crawling at the very top. It was so difficult, worth it, but difficult. And of course the day we went, Fuji didn't want to come out, so that's where she should have been. And I kept the ice cream wrapper from the place we had ice cream, which I can't remember what it's called, but it's very famous and everybody goes there for their ice cream in the gardens. It's beautiful. And of course the view of Fuji. This was our way off to Kyoto. Again, I was really happy. I kept the receipts for the tickets, and somehow I managed to keep a ticket. I don't know how I did that. I don't know why I did that. Maybe the gate wasn't working. It's the first time on the bullet train, which kids were very excited about. And here's kind of where I started to wear off. I've left myself some room to write here. This was our accommodation in Kyoto, which was very close to Nijo Castle. It's actually only about a 5-minute walk, which was lovely. Of course, we went to Kinkakuji Temple. That was definitely a must-see on our list. However, we didn't go into Gyeon because it was so busy, and there was so much in the news in Australia at the time about how busy Gyeon was and how unfair it was for the people who live there, so we decided to just stay away from a lot of the very busy areas. We went to Kinkakuji, and that was basically it. The rest of the time we just found other things to do because we didn't feel like it was set to overwhelm the locals. While we were there, I did keep the ticket from the day we were there, and I've actually got my kids' ones as well. And this was just from the back of a magnet, but I just thought it was a lovely watercolour, even though this just says it's literally a bamboo magnet, but I still thought it was cute. Nijo Castle was beautiful. And I was so impressed with this photo that I took because I felt it looked just like a postcard. Again, we had a really lovely time here. It was very, very hot in Kyoto. But I love to collect postcards from these places. I feel like it's a nice memory. They're not large. It's not hard to pop them in your suitcase. They don't get in the way. You're not over buying things that you don't need. It's just something you can keep, and you know exactly where you got it. It's just a lovely memory, and it's not an over expensive memory. I feel like postcards are undervalued for how great they are, in lieu of other things, you know, because there's so much stuff you could buy, and I just didn't want to overconsume, which is really hard not to do in Japan because everything's amazing. You want it all. So all these little bits that I got to keep were like super special to me. Here we are, we finally had a ramen, and this was just across the road from us in Kyoto, across the road from where we were staying, and it was just amazing. Such a delicious meal, and that was our first actual proper ramen in Japan. My husband and I had a day out without the kids because they didn't want to come. They were finally exhausted. And we went and treated ourselves at Tenomeshi, which I highly recommend you go to if you are in Kyoto. It was delicious, and they just make you feel so welcome. And they speak some English, which is good for those of us who don't speak much Japanese. And then I've come to the end so far. I've actually got Osaka, Nagoya, I'm back in Tokyo to go, but I am ready with the next thing we did, which was spend time in Fushimi Inari. And I was thinking I might like to just paste some photos in with you and leave myself somewhere to write. So I'll get out my trusty dot liner and slowly paste some things in. And one thing I did like was this photo because it's just the old and the new. The Torii gates there with the vending machine, which I thought was great, and just so Japanese as well. You know, there's just so many great photos here. I wish I could get this. I really wanted this in a postcard. I loved this, and I really wanted to find it in a postcard because I would have stuck it in. I just couldn't. And we went to Fushimi Inari Taisha at 8:30 at night, and we were only going to stop to have a look, and then we ended up climbing it, and we didn't come home till 11:30. It was just meant to be a quick thing, and it ended up being a full 3-hour journey. But it was just such a beautiful night and so perfect that we couldn't help but enjoy the walk and enjoy the place. It's such an amazing place, and to be able to go in at night when it's not so busy really did make it more enjoyable, because I have seen photos and videos of it during the day, and I don't think my anxiety levels would cope, if I have to be completely honest. So I'm just going to stick these in willy-nilly, so I've got some room to write. I don't really like to overthink when I stick things in, because I just want it to be natural and look natural, and just, it's a journal, you know, it doesn't have to be perfect. I don't care if it's messy and not aesthetic. It doesn't have to be completely aesthetically pleasing. It just needs to hold my memories. And as lovely as it is to have an aesthetic journal, I've not always got the brain power for an aesthetic journal. You know, sometimes I just want to get things done, especially it's hard to always want to achieve perfectionism when you haven't got a lot of time, or you just want to finish things up so you can move forward. I kind of feel like I'm in a rush to get things done now because I am headed back to Japan and I have not finished this, and I will like to journal while I am in Japan again. My plan, however, has changed. When I went and travelled last time, it was my first real overseas trip in a very, very, very long time. The last time I travelled overseas, I was very, very young and I was not journaling. I was 19. And I wasn't really interested then. Whereas this time, you know, I was in my 40s. I knew what I wanted to do, but I just didn't know the best way to go about it and how to get the most out of it. And I had all these grand plans and none of them worked. The best I managed to do through all the exhaustion was just write a quick note every day of the places we had been to on that day. That was all I managed to do, because I had my husband and my kids and so on and so forth, and it was so tiring that any more than that was just not possible. You know, if you're not out, you're asleep or you're complaining that your feet hurt. So this time when I go, it's going to be a much more relaxed, I'm actually not going to use this one, and quieter trip, because I'll be on my own, and I'm hoping to have a different plan of attack. So we'll see. Hoping I can do better at my second trip to Japan. And my plan while I'm there is also to vlog every day as well, but hey, who knows what will happen. So with this one, I know exactly where I was, I know exactly where it is, so I don't feel like there's any need to put much text, but I will just pop some stickers in, I think. I wish I had a Torii Gate sticker, but unfortunately I do not. Oh, actually, I might have. 1 second. Haha, I told a lie. I do have a Torii Gate sticker, so there you go. Okay, sometimes I find these are really hard to get off, even if you do use stickers. Or maybe it's just me not being very good at it. Hopefully I can manage. Aha, success. Sweet success. Come up there. I'm very not blasé. Oh, because so many taxis in Tokyo, I definitely need to use that. I guess I'm just not stressed about how this turns out, because I know what I did while I was there, and this is a travel journal is just a refresher in my mind. It's just something you can look back on and go, hey, actually I did that and that was amazing. And actually this sticker works really well, because we did actually catch a taxi to Fushimi Inari, because it was about an hour from where we were staying, and I did not want to catch a bus or a train, and it was late, so I said to my partner, let's just catch a taxi. Let's just catch a taxi. So yeah, it's just a little memory keeper, and it could be heaps neater and it could be more lovely, I know that, but sometimes there's beauty in a little bit of mess. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I guess it's perfect to me. Also, giving yourself, or I find giving myself, less rules around journaling makes it easier for me to enjoy, especially with my ADHD, because if it has to be perfect, it probably won't get done, because it'll either get done or, you know, and won't be perfect, or it'll be perfect and it won't get done. You know, that's just I've noticed part and parcel of having ADHD. You just need to kind of give yourself some slack time sometimes and admit that you're not always going to be perfect, just to be able to get things done. And so just a few little stickers and cute things. Oh, definitely need ramen, because we did have ramen for dinner that night. And a few cute things just to make the page lovely. I have a little bit of space there to write the date we went and what we did. That's all I need. I do wish I had, if I were to change anything in my journal this time around, I would have kept more paper, or picked up some origami paper to back these with, just to give them a sort of frame, because they are all on the white. When I go to Japan next time, I'm going to use the TN, but I'm going to use a craft paper instead, so I'm hoping it'll make it look prettier, but we'll see. So we'll slowly get through this. I'm trying to think of what I ate when I was in Kyoto, and the truth is I don't remember, because I just ate everything that I could see. There wasn't one food that I didn't walk past, or a 7-Eleven or a konbini, or, you know, a restaurant I didn't walk past where I didn't try something. But this does look a lot like the ramen we had. This giant bowl of goodness. So I might just pop that. Oh no, actually I won't, because we've already got a little bowl of ramen there. I think that's actually almost okay, because I'm going to write a few bits and bobs there to finish it all off. And slowly, hopefully now I've lit a fire under my bottom to get this done, and I can come back to you in a month or so and show you a completely finished journal with the writing and the whole deal, all done, and we can look through it together. So yeah, thank you very much for sticking through this. Again, thank you for being a part of my second video. I'm really, really thankful you're here, and I wish you the best day. Bye bye.